Good afternoon. One more time. Vegas Strong and Fearless. Vegas Strong and Fearless. San Jose Strong and Fearless. San Francisco Strong and Fearless. Jamaica Strong and Fearless. Wherever you find yourself, you need to be strong and fearless, especially in this time of the virus. Come on, 1967, they found a cure for the virus. They came out with the discovery of this particular virus. I think a lot of people are up in arms don't ask me why. My God is the same when he walked with Moses, when he walked with Joshua, as he's walking with me today. That's why last week we talked about God told Joshua, be strong and of good courage. As I was with Moses, I will be with you. As I was with Moses, I will be with you, me, if you're a believer in the faith. And I also mentioned last week we were talking about the head, Jesus Christ being the head of the church. He will take care of his body. Don't worry about God, Jesus' body. He will take care of his body. Now let's bring it over to the physical body, my body. It's up to me to take care of my body mentally. As I mentioned, the perfect body is one that understands his eating habits, his breathing habits, his sleeping habits, and there's one more. Breathing,
Reading?
oh, I think there's just four of them. I'm sorry, there were just four, yeah. So you got to be aware of your eating habits, what you're eating, the air you're breathing, and what you're drinking, and how you're sleeping. And you will have the perfect body. If you're doing those things, and are aware of those important principles, you're going to be okay. But we were talking about the head of the church, the body. Jesus Christ is the head of the church. The body, I'm in charge of my personal body. The difference is, here's the big difference. Jesus was connected to the Father. Jesus was connected to the formless substance. Jesus was connected to the universal Father. Jesus was connected, he says, as the Father and I are one. That's the way you need to be. That's the way I need to be. If you're connected to the spiritual, because remember we're talking about the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and we'll call it the soul. In our case, the soul, the spirit of mankind. But there's a spiritual of this, I call it the superconscious, God. If you're connected to that source, there's no stopping you. You're going to be healthy, you're going to be strong and courageous. You're going to be strong and fearless. And that's the way we want to make you. Send me your emails, your requests, your concerns, and we'll make it a point to share them on the air. Today, we're going to be talking about the mind. We were talking about the body last week, and we talked about Jesus being the head of his body, the church. Look at that program, and it's going to give you some inspiration. But today, we want to talk about the mind. Now, you know, my favorite author, one of my favorite authors is Napoleon Hill. And one of the things he teaches is the blockages, as I mentioned, the head of Jesus Christ, the head of Rudy Aguila, me, what would block this human part to be connected to this spiritual part and become one with the Father? Well, he brought out the point, the reason you are drifting, the reason you're not strong, the reason you're not courageous, the reason you're not powerful, it's because of the fears. And he mentioned about 5 different fears. He mentioned the fear of poverty. He mentioned the fear of ill health. We're living in that fear right now. This virus situation, we're concerned about our health. Well, that's a fear, a tremendous fear. The fear of death, the fear of losing loved ones, the fear of aging. See, he mentioned these fears. So keep in mind, the fear of the sickness in the world right now is blocking, is keeping you away from walking in fullness and becoming one with Him. Very, very important. So to become fearless, Vegas strong and fearless, you need to be connected to that power, as I mentioned, in that formless substance. And I have a name, and that's Jesus Christ. Okay, you might have named some other names. That's between you and your maker. But my situation, my case is in Him, Jesus. Well, today we just quickly will speak about the mind. In the past, it's nothing new if you've been watching my show, but in the past, we talked about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the superconscious. Let's first look at the conscious mind. Now, when we're born, we have a conscious mind, not the brain, the mind. We usually operate and live by the 5 senses. I want you to think about this. The way you're living today, the majority of the people live submitting to the 5 senses. Well, they told us today in social media, hearing, to do this. We're hearing this. Well, I saw the other day a lot of people sick were living by and concluding by that sense of sight. So you got to be careful if you live just by these 5 senses: seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling. And usually those senses that we grow up with when you're a child develops or turns you into a particular person in your views. The way you think, the way you see the world, the way you see people, generally speaking, is because of those senses. But as we go into living by the subconscious, by the way, that's where the power's at. But if we live by the subconscious, these 5 senses that are coming into our lives and become our subconscious, it's our subconscious that keep us going and determining our beliefs, because our subconscious is molded by culture. I grew up a certain way, and I think I told the story one day. I went to school, and the teacher was talking to me, and I had my head down, and she said, "Look at me when I talk to you." And then I had a flashback. I said, wait a minute. I'm Mexican, my culture. My daddy, when he used to talk to me, I shouldn't look at him. I couldn't look at him because it showed disrespect. So I put my head down. And whoa, the day if I looked at him, I said, what are you looking at? What are you looking at me for? But when I went to school, I was supposed to look at my authority figure. You see the confusion there? There can be some confusion. So my culture will influence how I think about authority, what I think about particular views towards the elderly, and just on and on and on. So my culture influences my subconscious. My religion, my theology influences my subconscious. And I can give you many examples. You can give me examples of, well, we're not supposed to work on the Sabbath. Why? Well, that's our beliefs. Oh, we don't supposed to eat meat. My daddy used to, was a very Catholic individual. We can't eat meat on Friday. Why? Because it's my teaching. You see how religion forms how you live. That theology, that culture. You're bringing your value system, and I can go on and on and on. It determines your lifestyle. And that's the way most people live. It can be good, or it can be bad. During the racial situation back in the South, it was good to own slaves. That's the way we were brought up. Later on, no, it was bad to own slaves. We had to reform our thinking. You understand what I'm saying? The culture, the value system determines how your lifestyle. And then we go to the superconscious, and of course, we call that the formless substance. We call that the supernatural. We call that God. We call that the Almighty. We call that the creator of everything. The key here to be strong and fearless, to connect the superconscious to the subconscious. It's not easy, but you can do it. If you're willing to submit to the superconscious and bring it up in all your decisions and all your thoughts, allow that to surface to your subconscious before you make a decision. Well, at this time, as we conclude, I personally feel that you need to learn how to live in the superconscious. You need to live and submit to the higher up, to the Almighty. If you do that, and you link it to the subconscious, believe me, you're going to be strong and fearless. And that's my desire. That's the whole reason we're doing this show, to make you strong and fearless. Especially today, you need it. I look around, I was out today with a friend, we were driving around, no traffic, all the stores are closed, all the restaurants are closed, and I have a choice. I can look at this and say, this is good, or I could say, this is bad. Somebody was benefiting from the badness of a situation or the goodness. Look around. This could be a beneficial factor for you and for me. You think about it. God bless you, and we'll see you next week. Call me, email me.